Hi guys, welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. Today I'm going to be reviewing Boosh, A Shade of Madness, book 2 of the Ashes of Avarin series by Thiago Abdalla. Now, the author was kind enough to send me an ARC so I could read it before it comes out, which is actually very soon on January 24th. And again, full disclosure, Thiago is actually a really good friend of mine, so do with that what you will. So I was actually really excited to get to read this because of where the book 1, A Touch of Light, actually ends. And please be aware that I haven't reviewed like the second book in a series in a long time, so if you've forgotten, the way I handle this is I'm gonna talk full spoilers for book 1. So if you haven't read it, or if you care, like, don't watch it. So without wasting any more time,
let's get down to business.
Let's talk about A Shade of Madness. So, if you liked A Touch of Light, you will like A Shade of Madness. If you didn't like A Touch of Light, I think there's still a lot to recommend in A Shade of Madness, but it is largely more of what we got in A Touch of Light. First of all, it picks up seconds after the end of book 1. And actually, unlike A Touch of Light, this is a breakneck, this takes on a breakneck pace from beginning to end. This may be one of the most action-packed sequels I've read in a long time, which I think is good, because I think Thiago excels in his battle writing. He has that kind of on the ground, I've said it before, this on the ground, like John Gwynne style GoPro from the perspective of the boots on the ground, and everything is very frenetic and chaotic and bloody, and this guy's dying over here, this guy's dying over here, and so there is a lot of battle in this, considering where we left the first book. What some of my favorite battles are the battles on Griffinback. Some of these aerial battles, Griffin versus airship, are some of the coolest scenes in the entire book. I wish there was more like aerial combat. I found that I really enjoyed this in the Aurelian Cycle by Rosaria Munda, where they're dragon fighting in the air. I think it's just because of my obsession with airships. So I really like fantasy battles like that are in the air. So be prepared for that. There is not a lot of breathing room in this book, especially in the final act, which, if you read my Goodreads review, is just a high-octane thrill ride from the moment the final act begins to the concluding pages. So we still have the same three perspectives as in book 1. We've got Adrian, who's picking up in Azure across the sea, trying to get reinforcements for the Legion. We've got Lynn, who's dealing with the consequences of her decisions from book 1, and then we've got Nasha, who is still struggling to deal with her curse and trying to maintain control of it so she doesn't lose control. And Thiago also adds a fourth perspective in this, named Cadmus, who is from the Vislands, which is that southern kingdom that borders the clans where Nasha is. And I love the addition of Cadmus, and that is because I am partial to kind of scientist characters. In books, I love alchemy, I love potions, I love, people who experiment on things. I don't really know why. I don't know why I like mad scientists, but I like them in fantasy. I don't like them in, I don't know, there's some mad scientists I don't like, but I do like the scientific characters. There's a lot of those in KJ Parker that I like as well. And so the addition of Cadmus is definitely fleshes out what are the main kind of struggles in A Shade of Madness. So in book 1, we've got people trying to figure out what's going on. Like, why are these people turning rabid and feral? And everyone is kind of struggling with their identities. Is Lynn, can she still call herself a sentinel after what she's done? Adrian is trying to get out from under the shadow of his brother. Nasha doesn't know where she belongs. And so we have kind of the natural progression of that here, in the fact that now they know what's going on, and they kind of learn more about who they are, who they think they're supposed to be, but the biggest thing that people are dealing with here is the madness, and what is the best way to deal with it? What is the madness? What caused it? Can it be cured? Can it be controlled? Does it need to be eradicated? And to watch these characters struggle with the different ways, the different approaches to this problem. We've got Cadmus, who is trying to cure it through experimentation. because a loved one is infected and he's kind of like found a way to neutralize, if not get rid of it. Nasha is wondering why that kind of madness is spreading down to the clanlands, and is it a product of that destroyer earth goddess that they have to kill and put blood into the earth to keep her sealed. Adrian is struggling from where it came from and to have enough soldiers to put it down, and Lynn is also on the front lines fighting this. And so watching each person deal with the madness and how their opinion about it and their strategy evolves is one of my favorite parts in this. I like people like having different solutions to literally a common problem. The character arcs, no one begins where they began, which is good. Some of these character arcs are very surprising, and some people in this book, they need assistance. They have issues, and they may not realize that they have issues, but they have issues. And so once again, there's some really surprising reversals of fortune, twists of fate, and really no one can be trusted. Loyalty is not a huge thing in the world of Thiago's books. And so the way this book ends, it ends in a very like poised for some really awesome things in book 3. It's not just a cliffhanger where it's like, oh, we're gonna be dealing with the exact same things in book 3. No, we're gonna be dealing with some fresh problems that we've created in book 3. And so another one of Thiago's strengths, and that I like a lot, especially when I'm going to get to listen to the audiobook and on reread, is he does lay these breadcrumbs to where you can kind of see where things are going, and when some reveals happen, you're like, oh, dang, I wish I'd have freaking seen that. And my favorite part of this book is as the 4 different POVs begin to intertwine. And because up to this point, no character has met another character, but now we've begun that path to where these characters' storylines are going to intersect and cross. And once that happens, boom goes the final act. And so I'm really, really excited to see where he takes the story from here. So again, Thiago is a very, very sparse writer. He does not believe in using any more words than is necessary, and so it does take a little time to kind of get used to that writing style. If you're used to just kind of more description and just more words in the sentences, this is the same as Touch of Light. So if you've read Touch of Light, it's the same here. And so it just took me a minute to kind of get going, get the flow. This happens with several authors when I pick them up after not having read them for a hot minute, and so it does fly along at a breakneck pace. He does not dwell on anything he doesn't think he needs to dwell on, and I know that some people might complain about that, some elements that aren't developed, or we don't spend enough time with that. In this, there were fewer scenes where I wanted to spend more time there. There were a couple of those in A Touch of Light, so I think there was less of that in this book. But if you've read Touch of Light, you know Thiago's writing style. So if you liked it and were fine with it in book 1, then it's the same here in book 2. We're still exploring a culture that, deals with death, that thinks that people have to die to keep the evil earth from rising, and then the other culture that believes that not dying is a blessing from the seraph. But we also see, we also see both of those cultures and people within them kind of struggle with what their belief is and the hypocrisy of the people who may or may not actually believe that. We have a lot of people who say they believe one thing and then act completely different in this particular novel. And it's just like, wow, okay. Wow, clearly the domain doesn't actually care if people die, because we're told that so much in book 1 that, oh, no one can kill anybody in the domain. That's the purview of the sentinels, because then we're, betraying the seraph. No one cares in this book. It's just bizarre. And so, for most of this book, I gave it 4.5 stars. I was just waiting for something to just push it over the edge into the strumpet stratosphere. And then I hit that final act, and I must have read the final act in one sitting, maybe 2 sittings, but I read it very, very quickly. And so, boom, pushed it into 5 stars. I give A Shade of Madness 5 stars, and you should absolutely go and pre-order this. Order this. All orders help self-published authors. You should absolutely check this out. And again, the cover is gorgeous, and you really should get the hardback because the naked hardback is beautiful. Or well, you should buy it anyway, but then you should also wait for the audiobook that's going to be with Kevin Kemp, who was just absolutely amazing in the first book. So, guys, that is it for me for today. If you read Touch of Light, have you already read Shade of Madness? Like, did you get to preview it? Or are you going to buy it? You definitely should. It's really, really good. Wait for those Griffin and airship battles. Oh my goodness. Stuff comes out of left field. Good stuff. Thanks, guys, for watching. As always, information about my Patreon and Discord is down in the description, and I'll see you next time, guys.